back to another video. Today I am going to be doing a video that I haven't done in a while. In this topic of it and just in general, I'm going to be doing a ranking video. The last time I did a ranking video was with my Harry Potter ranking video, and that was like 4 or 5 months ago, I want to say. And that one is pretty much staying consistent. But I was on Word earlier today and I found my old MCU list, and all I could think while scrolling through most of it was, what the hell was I thinking back then? So I said I was going to do an update to one about a month ago, and I don't know what I was thinking 6 months ago, so I decided that I would do it today. So this is just my personal opinions, but before we get into it, I want to say a few things. Firstly, I have still not watched The Incredible Hulk, as it is not on Disney+. I have watched the Spider-Man films, as he's my favourite superhero, but I have still not watched The Incredible Hulk film, so that will not be on here. Also, when I made my last list, I had only watched quite a few of them one time, so for some reason I didn't really get the full impression of it. Like, a lot of the movies that I said were at the bottom of my list are even in the middle or at the top of my list now. Like I said, don't know what I was thinking back then, but I've made my new and improved list. And one final thing, I'm going to be including MCU shows on here, so in this case, at the moment, the only show is WandaVision, which means there would be 24 on this list, but because Incredible Hulk isn't on this list, it's 23 anyway, so that's fine. Like, WandaVision is only 2 episodes in, so it might go up or down on my list, depending where the series goes. But my opinion on it from the first 2 episodes is on this list. But without further ado, let's start. If you don't want to listen to me, you can just watch my gameplay. I thought instead of just sitting on a Fortnite loading screen, I would go into a training on Rocket League. Like I said, let's get into it. Okay, so first up is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, I just don't really know. Ever since I first watched it, I've never really, I've enjoyed it, but it's not up to the standards of Marvel. Like, it's a decent film is what I would say, but the rest of them are much above this. So I had to put Iron Man 3 last on the list, and I know that's going to be a controversial pick, not because of Iron Man 3, a lot of people don't like it, but because another certain movie that most people will put at the bottom of their list. But next up is Black Panther. Now, I know this is a really unpopular opinion, because most people love Black Panther, like most people have it in their top 5 or top 10, and I did really enjoy it. It's just, the MCU has made so many great stories that sadly Black Panther has to be down here. The only bad thing I can really actually say about it is maybe the final fight CGI, well not CGI, CGI in Black Panther was amazing, but the final fight in general was kind of a bit weak, but apart from that, I don't have anything bad to say about it, and it's just because Marvel has made so many good movies. Next up on my list is Captain Marvel. Now this one will probably please people because they will probably put it around here on their list as well. I actually really like Captain Marvel. It's just like I said with Black Panther, there's so many good Marvel movies, so I have to put it here. And I will always stand by the fact that she is the strongest Avenger. Scarlet Witch and Thor are strong, but if you look at her in the movie, I don't even get how it's a debate. But that would be a topic for a different day, if I ever did comparison videos. Anyway, so yeah, Captain Marvel at 21. At number 20 is Doctor Strange. Now like I've said with most of these, I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. But like I said, with the last two, there's just a lot of better movies that Marvel have made. And the first half of the movie was a bit boring. Like, I get it, it's his backstory and stuff, but it only really starts to get interesting after he breaks his hand, which I know sounds rude, but like, it's just a fact for me. But apart from that, I don't really have anything bad to say about it. After Doctor Strange, I wasn't that excited for Doctor Strange 2, but his parts in Infinity War and Endgame, especially Infinity War, made me more excited for it. Most people say it's a lot of people say that it's the film they're most anticipating in Phase 4. Well, for me, it's probably in 4th place for my anticipation for Phase 4. I'm still excited for it. And at the end of the video, I'll say which movies in Phase 4 I'm most excited for. But on to the next one. So the first film in the top 20 spot is Iron Man 2. A lot of people would say Iron Man 2 is way worse than Iron Man 3, but for me, I just really didn't like Iron Man 3. Something I forgot to mention about Iron Man 3 real quick is that he destroys all his suits at the end, and then he just comes back in Age of Ultron without an explanation. So that's another reason I don't really like Iron Man 3. Yeah, like Iron Man 2, it's an unpopular opinion, but I don't think he's a cool villain, but I think he's like a good villain, Justin Hammer. And I think Whiplash is pretty cool. And of course we got the debut, the first film with Natasha Romanoff for Black Widow in it, which is always great, as she's one of my favourite characters. So yeah, I can't really say anything. It's kind of like Iron Man 3, just with a bit less flaws. Now, next up on the list is Thor: The Dark World. Now I know this will be probably the most controversial thing on my list, because most people would put it last. So for me to put it at number 18th, a lot of people wouldn't agree with it. But I don't think it's that bad as everyone says it is. Like, when I first watched it, I was expecting it to be terrible just because of what I've heard, and then I was pleasantly surprised. But obviously it's not the best film in the MCU. The Dark Elves can get a bit boring, but I really like Loki's story arc and Jane's story arc, and that's my only problem with Thor Ragnarok. They didn't have Jane, because an unpopular opinion, I like Jane, Darcy and Eric, and I ship Jane and Thor. Yep, and then after Thor: The Dark World is Thor. Thor's a bit better than Thor: The Dark World. Again, it's not the best thing Marvel's ever made, but it's definitely not the worst. I enjoyed the relationship between Thor and Jane, and Darcy and Eric were amazing as well. And I like how the end credit scene led into Avengers pretty well. And it revealed that, I won't say what it revealed because my friend is watching and he hasn't seen a lot of them, but yeah. So, my friend might be watching and he hasn't seen a lot of them. So, yeah, if you know, you know. But next up on the list is Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, if you've seen my last list, you'll probably be quite shocked at how far back this has gotten. It was in my first list, it was at number 11. But like I said, a lot of films that were in last place, like the Ant-Mans and the Guardians of the Galaxy films, I came to my senses and put them in the place they deserve. So, yeah, Age of Ultron, it's just, there's a load of better Marvel films. My only real complaint with it is that Ultron has way too much personality for a robot. Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me. But apart from that, I like Scarlet Witch and Vision, and I wish they hadn't killed off Quicksilver because in Age of Ultron he's one of my favourite characters. So I'm sad they killed him off straight away. But yeah, that's basically all I have to say about Age of Ultron. Now, I just want to say that from 15 onwards, I love all of these movies. But it's just so hard to put them in an order. But I had to because this is a random video. So this is how it's going to go. At number 15 is Iron Man. Iron Man was a great film in the MCU. I don't believe it's the start of the MCU. Like, obviously it came out first, but for me, I follow the timeline, so it's the third movie in the MCU. And I was only one when the first Iron Man film came out, and I didn't start watching Marvel till like 2016. Yeah, I watched, when I first got Disney Plus back in April during lockdown, I decided to go timeline order, and it's the best choice that I have ever made. So while I don't consider it the best film in the MCU, it is a really good origin story for Tony Stark. And I'm sad that he only really had one good solo film. But on to someone who had 3 great solo films, and you know who he is because he's the only one with 3 good solo films. It is Captain America Civil War. Now, I know a lot of people think that Captain America Civil War is the worst, and yeah, me too, worst Captain America film. Like I've said, love it with all my heart still. And yeah, I do think it's the worst out of Cap films, but they wouldn't put it this low. But the only reason I put it this low is because I keep repeating myself, but Marvel just makes some of the best movies in the world, and I had to just put the ones that I really enjoy above it. So yeah. Next up, number 14, number 13, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now, back when in my original list, this was like 21st, I think, but it is a really good film. I'm not gonna deny that in any stretch of the imagination. I have some complaints about it, which is why it's this low down on the list. Like, I think it's a bit dark at some points, and there's a lot of storylines going on at the same time, and it does feel a bit rushed. But apart from that, it's a pretty good follow-up to Guardians of the Galaxy, and I can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think that's going to be a Phase 5 film, so I can't wait for that, but obviously we've got to go through Phase 4 first. So anyway, on to the next thing. Next up is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp, just like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I love with all my heart. I have a few complaints about it though. Like, I love Hope being the Wasp, and and the storyline from Civil War went on into Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's a cool reason that he wasn't in Infinity War. And yeah, so that's what. I don't really have much to say about Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's a really enjoyable story with a few moments. Oh wait, one more thing. When I first watched it, most people said Sonny Birch was the main villain. I just really don't see that. The main villain is clearly Ava or Ghost, and I much more enjoyed her character arc than Sonny Birch's, and she is the main villain in my eyes. She has way more screen time than Sonny. She does way more evil things. So it's just my personal opinion, but that's what I think. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Next is Ant-Man. Ant-Man's a bit better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's a really, 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 really enjoyable film. Like, the first time I watched it, I laughed out loud at some point. And if you guys know from the last list, I said I enjoy small stories in the MCU. Well, I said that about Spider-Man, but it includes Ant-Man now. I like small stories inside the MCU, so like a heist and just what it looks like on a high school student. I just love that. So that's why Ant-Man's there. And getting into the top 10. Now the top 10. This was really difficult. I spent quite a while sorting the top 10, and I changed it a couple times. But like I said, a lot of these could change because I love all these. These movies are some of the greatest movies of all time. Okay, so first, number 10, WandaVision. I know people might, if they were including WandaVision on the list, they might put it a bit lower because there's only been 2 episodes so far. But I've really enjoyed those 2 episodes, especially episode 3 where the storyline starts and it's revealed she's pregnant and that the colour comes in and the sword logo and the Hydra logo is just also interesting, and like it seems she is making her own reality because obviously Vision's dead. So I have a personal theory. I think that Buzzkeeper guy is a sword person that's trying to get Wanda out of her reality, because we see sword logos all over the show. And if you don't know what sword is, it's basically SHIELD, but for like galactic threats. So it's like SHIELD, but in space, basically. And I don't know why they didn't appear when Thanos or Loki came, but that's not the point of this video. But yeah, so that's basically all I really have to say on WandaVision. I can't wait to see the next few episodes of it. It's gonna be, I expect it's gonna be awesome. And then straight after WandaVision ends, we get Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is the show I've been most hyped for. WandaVision was a close second place, but I just can't wait to see Falcon. I just can't wait to see Bucky and Falcon's storyline without Steve. It's going to be really interesting. But yeah, so next up is Captain America: The First Avenger. Like I said, Cap is the only person that has a trilogy in the MCU that all 3 movies are amazing. And Captain America: The First Avenger, when I first saw it, I thought Civil War was better, but ever since I've been watching it again and again, I know that to me First Avenger is better. And I like Red Skull and the fact that it brought Hydra, and I like the link that Hydra stays in all throughout the Captain America trilogies and just the MCU in general. So that's my opinion on Winter Soldier: First Avenger. Next up on the list is the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the best movies that I've ever seen, obviously because it's high up on the list. The soundtracks of both films are some of the best music ever. Like, I know they didn't invent the music before you comment that, but they have some of the best soundtracks in the whole MCU, and the storyline of it is just really good as well. I don't have much to say on Guardians of the Galaxy, it's just a really good film. Next up is Avengers or Avengers Assemble. Avengers, I just really like it because it's the first time we see our heroes team up, and it's so weird to watch it again after like watching Endgame, because they're all so connected in Endgame, and it's weird to see them meeting for the first time, but it's also kind of nostalgic. Like, I didn't watch it when it came, actually I did watch it, I wasn't a Marvel fan, but I did watch it when it came out, and because of that, I feel like it's nostalgic because it's been like 9 years since it came out, and in the MCU it's also been, in the MCU it would have been it would have been 11 years old in the MCU timeline. So I just feel like it's nostalgic, and our heroes meeting for the first time is awesome. So that's what I think of the Avengers. Now, number 6, Avengers Infinity War. This is going to be very controversial, I feel, because most people have Infinity War as their favourite. And don't get me wrong, this is one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. But it's just about not top 5 worthy. But the build up to this from 2012 was amazing. And in the cinema, when I saw that he actually won, it was just shocked. I was just shocked. So, and I couldn't wait for Endgame afterwards. Yeah, so that's basically what I have to say about it. And I like Thanos' origin kind of in this film. And now top 5. The top 5 was almost impossible. I told you guys that I turned around the top 10 a lot. I spent like 15 minutes, 20 minutes alone on the top 5. So it was really hard to choose, but these are my 5 favourite MCU movies, and basically in my top 10 movies that I've ever seen. Number 5, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is easily the best Captain America film. I love the arc of Bucky, because Bucky in the first film is like his old supportive friend and everything, and then it turns out he turns into a villain. Then we learn that he's not in control of everything, and in Civil War we learn he killed Tony's parents. The Steve Bucky arc is just so interesting, and also I like Sam introduction, and also Steve and Natasha in this movie is just amazing, because I ship Roman Rogers. I'm not ashamed to say that. Roman Rogers is the best ship in the MCU, so that's another reason I really like. That's another reason that I really like The Winter Soldier. I wish I could put it higher, but there's a few movies that just beat it. Okay. Now number 4, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Spider-Man is my favourite superhero of all time. I've seen all the Spider-Man films apart from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I've seen half of that. I'm gonna finish it eventually, but I've seen all the Spider-Man films, and then personally, it's a hot take, I know, but I think Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. So I really enjoyed his performance in this, and the twist that Vulture is his love interest dad. It's crazy, and I like the spin they did on MJ. Like, people say this is not the MJ they know, but it's not supposed to be the same character. There's been 3 there's 3 live action different love interests in Spider-Man. There's MJ, Gwen Stacy, and MJ. As in Mary Jane, which is in the Raimi trilogy, and Michelle Jones in the MCU. And I think them making a completely original love interest with Peter is just amazing. And like I said with Ant-Man, I like to see stories that are connected to the MCU, but are just like kind of smaller. And I like the fact that Happy didn't believe in him all movie, and then he realised that he could do it. And the relationship between Tony and Peter is just one of the best things ever. And then in number 3 is Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is easily in my top 5 movies of all time. It's so funny, and I love the dynamic between Thor, Hulk, Valkyrie, and Loki. Loki and Thor are definitely the funniest in this movie, and I think it was cool we got to see another Avenger in a Thor movie. And the soundtrack in the fourth film, like at the beginning and in the final battle, it's just one of the best songs they've ever put in the MCU. Like if you know the song, you know. And I think the villain is one of the most interesting villains in the entirety of the MCU. At some point I think I'll do a ranking villains list, but for now she is one of the best villains in the MCU, and she's the only real girl villain in the MCU, so that's interesting as well. But moving on to the runner-up, for the silver medal is Avengers Endgame. Now, this is also going to be controversial, I feel, because most people think Avengers Infinity War is the best Avengers film, but I like the fact that it was going since 2012 and it all led up to that, and I think it was a perfect way to end the Infinity Saga and bring in a new story. Obviously, it's just I'm trying not to say too many spoilers about it. Obviously, what happens to those characters is so sad, but I'm glad Thor went off with the Guardians, because the Guardians are confirmed to be in Thor 4, and Thor is basically confirmed to be in the third Guardians film, so I can't wait for that dynamic. And Hawkeye's getting his own show in the autumn, and we don't really know about Bruce. I'm guessing they're probably going to do something with Bruce in Phase 5, because now that Avengers is over, apart from Thor Ragnarok, those are the only films. The Avengers films are the only films where he really appeared in. But obviously he had his own one in 2008, but going against Iron Man wasn't a good idea, and also Mark Ruffalo does much better than Edward Norton as the Hulk. So I'm excited to where they go with those characters. And controversial, I like Steve's ending. Obviously leaving his best friend was sad, but I loved him giving the shield to Sam. And if the certain someone hadn't fallen off the cliff or the stone, then I would have been mad about Steve's ending, because obviously I'm a shipper of them. But because they died, I'm a shipper of Steve and Peggy as well. So I like his ending that he goes back to being her. And finally, if you know the MCU, you know the only one that is left, and it's probably going to surprise you, because you guys probably wouldn't even put it in your top 5 MCU films, but here it is me saying it. My favourite MCU film, or just Marvel film in general, or just film in general to be honest, is Spider-Man Far From Home. I know that sounds really crazy, because there's all these Avengers films, and then there's Thor Ragnarok and Winter Soldier, but I just love the small stories inside the MCU, like I said, and a normal perspective of the life after the blip is just crazy. And the fact that all Peter wants to do is get with his loving interest, and wants to just have a nice holiday, but then circumstances occur, and he has to be a superhero on his vacation, and the fact that the hero that everyone thought was a hero turned into the villain. Mysterio was just such a good villain. He's in my top 3 villains for sure, and it's just amazing. But yeah, so that's my list of all the MCU films with WandaVision put in there. I know some of my picks might have been controversial, but these are my opinions. I would be happy to hear you guys' opinions in the comments. I'm going to do a Pixar one soon of ranking, but I still need to get around to watching the last few Pixar films that I haven't watched. I haven't watched 4 of them. I haven't watched Brave and Good Dinosaur, which you might be like, that doesn't really matter. But then I haven't watched Coco and Ratatouille. Oh, and WALL-E. So, and those are some of the most loved Pixar films. So if I don't include them on my list, then it's not a proper list. So I'm gonna have to watch them. So expecting within the next few months. Now that I've done my new and improved, updated Marvel ranking list, I'll probably be ranking heroes and villains and stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel for more kind of this content and gaming content. But for now, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I will see you all later. Bye guys!